Thank you so much for joining us today on Mostly True, presented by New Spark Entertainment. Mostly True is a podcast where we teach you about music history the way we wish we'd been taught, telling you what happened ages ago as if it were happening now. Today, I am joined by none other than Miss Emily Vaughan.
That's true. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
And who are we talking about today, Emily?
Today we're going to talk about the original redheaded stranger, Mr. Vivaldi.
So we've been talking in music history. So far, we've talked about Middle Ages and the Renaissance. Last episode, we talked about Monteverdi, who was kind of like the cusper, is kind of what we decided between the Renaissance and the Baroque. So he's kind of Baroque-y, but he's also kind of Renaissance-y. So
He's like a Renaissance man in that way.
You could say.
You could say.
One could say. And so that brings us into we're really getting into the Baroque era, and that's who we're going to be talking about today. One of the most famous, really, Baroque composers, Mr. Vivaldi.
Thrilling.
Welcome to Mostly True. It's like a podcast.
There's some composers that like are in between. They're not necessarily like huge, or there's not a ton of information about them to make like a whole episode around them, but they're really fun. So I wanted to kind of do this, like, I don't know, we're going to call it composer lowdown or something for some of these fun little composers that happen in between the big ones, so we can talk about them. So the first one I want to talk about is Francesca Caccini, I want to say. Is that a chi?
Everything in my music history mind is telling me Caccini. Because if a single C makes a hard C sound,
yes.
Otherwise it'd be Caccini, and I don't think it's that.
Because it has to do with the letter following it, right? It's that it's an I. It's a Cachi.
And the double C.
Okay, so it's Francesca Caccini, 1587 to around 1641. The dates aren't super clear. But she lived around the same time as not Vivaldi, but Monteverdi, so the composer we talked about last week. And one of the really interesting things is she was actually 13 when she was a singer in an opera that Monteverdi saw before getting commissioned to write L'Orfeo, which we talked about last week. So it's kind of interesting when you're like, everything is connected. So one thing that I've noticed is there's a lot of death in these composers' lives. So her mom died, and then she was super young, and her dad remarried an 18-year-old. Yeah,
that couldn't have been good for her.
Yeah. And then so she worked for the court of Medici. I think this is also a chi. And
that's what this episode should be called. Hard and soft C's of the Italian language. Italian Diction 101.
Italian Diction 101 with a question mark.
This is the first we've ever seen these words too. This is not educational content.
I think we cannot stress enough how much this is not educational content. But anyway, if the Medici family sounds familiar, it's because they're like notoriously like the richest people in Italy throughout a lot of history. And so she married actually a couple of times. Both husbands died. But she was also kind of a badass. I really said that weirdly.
Badass.
She was a badass. But towards the end of her life, she was wealthy after marrying like this aristocrat and landowner, and she went back to the courts and continued making money, even though she didn't really have to.
Hobby job. Love it.
I know. But so she was like this late Renaissance, early Baroque like composer, and she was a landowner because she inherited it. And so like, I don't know, she is unanimously known to be the first woman to ever write an opera. So that's also pretty cool.
That's super cool. Yeah.
But yeah, so she was someone I was like, we should talk about her. But again, because I don't know, just like historical documents and things, not as much information on her. That's about all I found, really. So
History hates women.
I think that's what we'll learn.
That's like the subtitle of this podcast. Mostly true. History hates women.
Yes.
But not us.
But not us.
Not me. We don't hate women.
Oh, I
Maybe
see what
you do.
we no. I thought you were referring to like doesn't hate us as in like I'm a woman, which I was like, well, I wouldn't. Anywho, trekking right along, we are going to get into some of those really, really well-known composers today. Well, really just the one. But I mentioned it a little bit last week, but we talked about how one of the big things that is also evolving with like the musical style is the instruments themselves. So music theory is evolving, the instruments themselves are evolving, and so that is also doing a lot for our composers and our friends in music history today. One of the biggest things that I think is interesting while I was reading is that this next person, Vivaldi, was kind of some of like the earliest to compose instrumental music. So he was doing a bunch of concertos and a Baroque style called Concerto Grosso. But a part of it was because the instruments were good enough to actually like stay in tune and stand on their own and be just instrumental music. Whereas like I think part of it was before this time, a lot of it was opera or singers and like organ or church music. Mainly because like I think a lot of the instruments just didn't necessarily have the consistency that they needed yet for all of this like virtuoso violin. So, and that's exactly who Antonio Vivaldi is, which leads us right into our key composer of today.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts on Vivaldi, Emily?
Big swig. I remember learning about Vivaldi, and I remember kind of learning that he was a diva. He was prolific in his writing and his composition, and he was also sort of vain. At least that was my impression of him. And maybe it's because he was the first composer in my education where his hair color preceded a lot of other facts about him. I also remember singing.
And anytime you're talking about a redhead, you know that's also the truth.
Know that's him. Yeah, that's a diva for sure. Especially back then, I feel like, because that had to be like his actual hair color. I wonder if he had like a wig that was also redheaded. I
don't think so, because like you see a lot of pictures, and it is interesting because I'll pull the one up from here. Like I think they were in a wig a lot of the time. So it's interesting that like, I would assume that a lot of the concerts people would be wearing their like fancy wigs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it is interesting that even in a culture where you wouldn't normally see the color of people's hair, he still was known for being a redhead.
Yeah, diva for sure. Look at that.
Diva.
Really beautiful.
I know.
Those were the days, honestly.
Those were the days. The
The
Baroque.
days of beauty. The Baroque era.
But no, that was definitely something that like when I was researching for this episode, a lot of sources made sure to let me know that he was very into himself.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Was not afraid. He wasn't good with criticism. So like if anyone wrote anything bad about him, he would not be happy.
I'm sure he'd actually write a concerto about them. He'd put them on blast.
He'd be like, this is the I hate you concerto.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think one thing that is really interesting thing about Vivaldi is that he just wrote so much. I think it was something like 500 concertos, like 50 or more operas, and like an opera is not a tiny thing to write 50 of them. And I
That'd
don't
be
know,
so time consuming. Yeah.
yeah, 500 concertos is crazy. Um, so
He's
there
like the
was
Alexander Hamilton of concertos.
literally, yeah, I don't think there's another composer that's really written that much until like Bach, maybe. I think Bach has wrote a crazy amount as well, um, but this is a lot. There's actually a French guy, some Frenchie, that just visited Venice while Vivaldi was still alive, and is known for saying, "I heard him boast of composing a concerto faster than a copyist could write it down." Which, to be fair, 500 concertos, I'd believe it.
I mean, he's got to be fast if he was able to do that many in his lifetime, because people also didn't live that long back then.
Yeah,
So he was like making
yeah.
the most of his time.
Because he also, I mean, I think he was also doing stuff. Well, so his nickname, uh, we looked it up. What was it?
Um, Something
Um,
Rosso.
yeah, it means the red-headed priest. But so he was actually
Il
given.
Prete Rosso.
There it is. So he was actually given priestly orders. So he wrote quite a bit of like church music, sacred music as well. So that's on top of like all of the concertos and the operas and everything. So yeah, just a crazy catalog. Um, but yeah, a little bit about the guy, born 1678. So pretty much smack dab in the middle of the Baroque period. His music is generally described as being like very rhythmic, percussive. You know, if you think about the Four Seasons, I feel like there's a lot of that. Not as much like melodic lines, but a lot of like 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 stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So I think it's very much kind of what he's known for. Um, Something that is also interesting is we almost, it's not that his music was lost, but by the time he died, he was not super popular.
Oh, I wonder why.
Well, so he wrote a ton, but I guess it all kind of started to sound the same. And he lived long enough that people got bored.
You know, I've had that criticism about him too, and I wasn't even around for
I've had
his
that
writing.
criticism about myself sometimes. I'm
About,
like,
yeah,
I
my
got
music
bored.
theory teachers. Yeah. Hey, this is the same composition from last week.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's in a new
I
key.
swear it's not. I swear. But a lot of it kind of got lost. So it wasn't until like the 1920s that music historians kind
Whoa.
of rediscovered it. And um, it didn't become crazy popular to like the degree that it is now, again, until the 1950s. Do we know why? It's a pop quiz.
Mm, I think it was because of like the length of the Four Seasons. Like it was perfect for a record, like both
Yeah.
sides of the record.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds right. I think I
Yeah.
have it on record. I think that's why I know that.
Yeah. It like fit perfectly on an LP. So
He
it
was such
was,
a good thinker. Look at
he really
him.
was way ahead of his time. He knew.
Hmm. He
but
did.
but that was like the main reason. And so it became like everyone had it for their restaurants and everything. If they wanted classical music, they could put it on their LP and they could, run it. And it was the perfect length. So it just became this crazy, crazy popular piece of music, classical, Baroque, technically, I guess. But like that was why it became as popular as it was. Like one of his song, not songs, but I guess is it oratorio? Is Gloria an oratorio?
Yeah.
I guess it technically is. Um, since it was performed in Vivaldi's time, it wasn't performed again until like 1939, I think. So
Wow.
like as prolific as he was in his time, I think it's really interesting to think that his music, while it was, maybe studied by some of his later contemporaries, or like I know that like Bach would have studied some Vivaldi and some of Handel probably as well, I think I saw. But it wasn't like consistently performed through all of that time again until way, way later. So,
Until every high school choir director got a hold of Gloria,
oh my
and
gosh, we did it at Kamiak,
we
didn't
did
we?
it. I remember that. Yeah, we sang it.
I don't think we
We
did the
sang it
whole
on
thing,
tour
but
in Europe. No, we didn't. I think we did a
um,
selection of it.
because I was in another choir, actually. It was Seattle Children's Choir, and we did the whole thing. Oh my gosh.
That's exhausting. And
Oh,
for both parties, the listener
it's
and the performer.
I felt so bad because like I was in high school, but they also had some like kid, because it was children's choir, so there were some kids, and I was like, wow, we're really doing the whole thing.
That's
So
intense.
did I do it again? I think I did it again in college for oratorio too.
You've been subjected to
I've
him.
I've
And
been
that's honestly his legacy. He'd be thrilled to know that.
that I've been just forced to sing his music for
Hmm.
so many times.
We all have.
Um, but yeah, so he was a big violin guy. I mean, that was what he was known for. Super like virtuosic. Um, so he was pretty famous for that. And let's see. There's I was going to talk a little bit about Baroque concertos versus classical concertos. I heard a lot of things. There were some places. One thing that I've noticed, and I think I've already talked to you about this, but I've learned that sometimes music history textbooks are people don't agree.
They're deeply inconsistent. That's super true.
Yeah. So like if we're talking concertos, like the difference between Baroque concertos and classical concertos that most people think of is that one of the kind of styles of Baroque was the concerto grosso, which is instead of a soloist, it's like a small group of soloists. Um, and then
Mm,
the typical concerto is just like a solo instrument, and then they're backed up by either a chamber or like a larger whatever bunch of instruments.
like a piano concerto.
Yeah, it's like the piano is like
Totally.
the star soloist, and then it's backed up by like the orchestra.
Hmm.
But so various sources were telling me that Four Seasons was concerto grosso, but then it's just a concerto because I think it's just the violin. So, and these also weren't like just like Wikipedia. Like these are published books and textbooks. So,
Yeah, I'm sure.
but anyway,
It was so long ago at this point, it's all sort of like hearsay, like heard it through the grapevine type
yeah,
business.
yeah. So, but anyway, I think one other interesting thing, and this kind of ties into like when we're trying to tie things into musical theater a little bit, like trying to find like why is this important? What did it give us? One thing that I always forget about when it comes to the Four Seasons is that it was some of like the earliest examples of program music.
Oh, like because of the theming
Yeah, there was
throughout it.
yeah, so it was themed, but then there was also these little sonnets that like would be read in between each of the
I forgot
seasons.
about those. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So, I always forget that there's, kind of that like theatrical part of it. But he wrote sonnets for each of the seasons that kind of talk about like, oh, the birds or the wind or whatever that he tries to emulate in the music itself. So,
Yeah, that's really cool. I don't think I realized that that was I guess I'd forgotten because
yeah,
clearly I love him so much. I'm clearly
because
researching him all the time.
obviously, I only read books about Vivaldi.
I only read about him. Yeah, exactly.
Um, but going back to because I love the gossip part. I love
Mm,
when we get
that's why
to
I'm here.
I
That's where I
think
excel.
yeah. So we talked a little bit about it, but probably not a nice person.
I'm
Most
positive he was not. Yeah.
most sources say no. Um But he was also an impresario, which, do you want to talk a little bit about what an impresario
Oh,
is?
yeah. So it was sort of like the structure of an opera house at this time. And noblemen would own the house and they would lease them out to an impresario who would
Mhm.
basically own the risk of making sure the show and the opera, the performances, all of it was successful. And if you can even bear to imagine, even back then, opera was not the most popular and also not the most lucrative thing,
Interesting.
which I think that most
No
people are
money in
like,
the arts
opera, the pop
still?
music of the day. Not really. It was still sort of like they're out there like trying to get people into those seats. So how do you think, like, how would they make money? Like, how would you guess they would make money?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I guess there's like merch stands today.
Yeah, like a sick t-shirt that says
Yeah.
the Four Seasons, who has like a really cool photo of like this red-headed man like playing a violin on fire. I would buy
Exactly.
that. So yeah, they
I
just
think
sold
I think
merchandise.
I think we need to start selling that.
That should be like the
Let's
logo of the show,
let's get that on a
actually.
t-shirt.
That'd be really cool. Better yet, it's like us in red wigs playing violins on fire. That'd be really cool. So yeah, they would sell merch and they would actually also just put a little casino right in there too.
Oh my gosh.
Because I think people were like, well, we're trying to get money from these folks any way we can. So we might as well literally, like, why don't we take a bet, take a risk, and put a casino in there?
Wow.
Um, yeah, so he took on this role of an impresario. He saw that as like an opportunity to, I think he also had a lot of faith in himself and he was like,
Mm.
my stuff will sell. I will be successful. I will run this thing from the top down. But he was not really a great guy. I don't think he would have been a great boss or someone
I
super
can't imagine, no.
enjoyable to work with. Yeah. He was kind of arrogant and really vain. And as you mentioned, like any negative review, he took very personally. So he was not very good at taking a joke.
Oh, I
If
can't
someone were to make like
imagine.
a little flippant comment, like he immediately was not happy with that. Um, and there was actually a rumor that he was um, spending time with a singer who was singing in his opera house. Her name was Anna Gyro. Giro?
Not another Italian
Anna
name.
G. No. No, it's Miss Anna G.
Which is
Plus,
crazy
don't we
because
do we recall his other pastime?
his other pastime, what, that he's a
Hmm.
priest? A freaking
Yes, in
priest?
the house of the Lord. Yes. Yeah, it gets a little gray. It's a gray area there because he
Mhm.
actually became a priest when he was 15 years old. And so it's possible that I guess like maybe his license as a priest had lapsed by then.
I don't
So
know
maybe he
how
was
that
like in
works.
the clear. I don't know. I
No.
always kind of thought once you were like a man
I
of the cloth, always a man of the cloth, but I don't know.
I mean, I guess you could be like, I don't want to be a priest anymore.
Does that happen? Is that allowed?
I can't see why it wouldn't be. Like, you would probably
You
be
can quit
shunned
most
and
jobs,
disowned.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They wouldn't
there's
be
always that.
happy. I don't think they'd be
No.
happy with you, but I also think like no one's stopping you. But I don't
And
know in
that's why
this
he had
day
to start sleeping with this woman, was he was so upset. He
because
had
he
to take
quit.
up with the prima donna of his opera house.
He was like,
Um,
it's because I got fired from priesting.
yeah. I'm just really sad right now. I really need a shoulder to cry on.
And
A
that
soft,
was
beautiful shoulder.
Miss Anna
Anna
G.
G. Mhm. And that actually hurt his reputation even more, if you can believe that.
Yeah. Cause where was it? He got kicked out, or he wasn't allowed to put on one of his operas, I think, because of
He was the first victim of cancel culture.
it. For real though, it's funny.
Antonio V.
Antonio V canceled.
That's a real bummer. Yeah.
Wow.
It didn't seem like he was able to bounce back from that either. Like I think that it just sort of
Mm.
it sent him into this period of time where he was traveling. He was moving around. I think his writing might have declined at that point. He moved to Vienna where he eventually died.
It's
And
bad.
I don't think that he made a lot of money off of his work, despite his amazing casino and impresario
His amazing casino.
business. So I think he died relatively poor.
Yeah, because I think I read that like you said, like operas and everything are really expensive. I mean, we know of like 50-ish operas that he wrote and would have tried financing all of them. And I guess like as he started declining in popularity, you know, as impresario, he also took on the risks. So
Yeah,
um
it's all on his
yeah,
credit, unfortunately. His FICO score was bad.
bad
Bad.
bad FICO score for that man.
That's a con. That's in the con list of Vivaldi. Bad FICO score.
Bad FICO
Good
score.
hair, bad FICO score.
Good hair. Just like
Ex-priest,
everybody loves the
kind of a
hair.
creepy guy. Yeah.
Kind of creep. I don't know. I feel like they were all
I
probably
kind
kind
of
of
like
creepy.
blanket assume that most men back then were creepy.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I'm a woman.
Yeah, for me it's like the fact that so many stories I'm like, "Oh, and mom died. Let me find an 18-year-old," you know?
Exactly. That's how they were socialized. Like that's normal. That's
At
regular.
least at least 18. At least she's an adult. I don't feel like that was I feel like younger even wasn't unheard of, which is crazy.
No, I would say that's actually like a pretty good like the bar's on the floor, but
Yes.
18 is better than what we I mean
18
earlier
is
when we
better than
talking about
15.
yeah, the 15-year-old bride.
Um, okay, and I think, and with that, um, I think that leads us into our favorite time of the episode. Well, at least mine.
Mine too.
Um, and wed, bed, behead. So I feel like the one I have written is kind of a cop out.
Mm.
It doesn't feel super spicy, but I'll pose it, and then you
All right.
can, if you have a better one that you can think of, you can pose it as well. So the three that I chose was fall, winter, summer.
Oh, classic.
Wed, bed, behead.
We're not even going to talk about spring.
No. I felt like spring.
No.
I felt like spring felt too, like, not divisive enough. I feel
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I feel like the spring is just, too many people are like, oh, I like spring. I feel like all the other seasons, people are like kind of mixed on, Like
Yeah. No, I
sometimes you
agree with
say
that.
fall and people are like, if I hear another person say I want a pumpkin spice latte, you know?
I'm going to kill someone. Yeah,
Yeah.
something crazy. There's the pull quote. I'm going to kill someone.
Uh,
Oh my God.
and then
Well,
and then
also,
summer,
I
I
think
feel like
that
some people are like, it's too hot. Winter, it's too
true.
cold. Spring, it's like,
Meh. You can't really argue with spring, but I do know that spring, the composition, not the season, um,
that's true.
even that is him borrowing, I think it was like based on motifs from another one of his compositions.
Mm,
Like people accusing him of everything sounding the same. Yeah, it's because everything sounded the same because he
yeah.
plagiarized himself. So,
I think it
so yeah,
was,
I think we
I
can
think
leave
it
spring
was,
out of this
I
one.
think it was Stravinsky, I think, had like a quote where he was like, yeah, of course he wrote so much. He changed a measure and republished. Like, he was like,
Exactly. And that's what I did in college. I totally understand.
that was
We have a
every
lot more in
assignment.
common than I'm comfortable admitting, honestly.
Add a couple repeats.
What can I say? Change that key, add a
That's like,
retard.
yeah, that's like anytime it's like, oh, the composition needs to be longer. I'm like, well, we could just make it an A B A.
Yeah, da capo. Go
It
back.
was just an AB. Let's go
Exactly.
back.
Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
So
so Wed, bed, behead. Fall, summer, winter.
Yes.
I think it's been a while since I've listened to these, but I honestly think that I think fall might be one of my it's the stronger in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Fall, winter, summer, like in that order for me. So
Okay.
I
So
think I guess wed, fall.
okay.
I mean, if I could do them all, behead, spring for sure. Get her out.
Really?
She's yeah,
Okay. So we're gonna
like
behead 2.
beheading too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm King Louis VIII today. To the stalkards, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Because I also have been subjected to spring so many times that I'm out of empathy. I think
No
I
more
think
patience.
no more. I think bed, winter. There's
Okay.
some spookiness there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of darkness. There's some mystique. There's something about it that's more alluring than summer.
You.
Bed. Yeah, that's my personal
Behead. Dead.
ranking. Behead. What about you?
Well, in my head, I was thinking literal seasons, actually.
Oh, we weren't even talking about the.
No, not even.
Well, if I revisit, then I guess I don't think I would change my answers. Maybe bed, fall, Mary and bed, fall, love, fall,
Mhm.
behead, summer, spring, winter. She can move in. She's a roommate.
She can be a roomie. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like fall is probably my favorite season.
beautiful time of the year.
I would marry fall.
I get so
Um,
excited when it's fall.
Winter, summer, it's kind of tough because I don't like being hot or cold.
But you
But
can add more layers. You
I can
can't
add
take off your skin.
I think that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking winter would be my bed.
Yeah,
Winter can be my bed and summer can be dead.
perfect.
Behead that bitch.
Exactly. Put her down.
But anywho,
Anywho,
I think that brings us to the end of the episode.
I think we've been through all 4 seasons.
I think we have. We've been
Mhm.
through so much more.
So much more.
But I guess should we close this out?
Let's close it out. Do it.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to Mostly True, a music history podcast from New Spark Entertainment. We really tried to close this out strong. But anyway, I'm your host, Mitch Beard. Special guest from today's episode is
Emily Vaughan.
research sources are included in the show notes, so be sure to check those out. Also, check out our other episodes and join us next week as we continue diving into the Baroque era. Next week, we're talking opera.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Love.
We're breaking it down. We're getting deep into the pra of the op. So, yeah, we'll talk to you next week on Mostly True.
Woo!